Shalom, 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 everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully my levels are right. I checked it last week and my levels was kind of low. I was like, I can hardly hear myself talking. Hopefully I don't got the mic up too loud. Um, I talk kind of low anyway, so let me put it down a little bit. All right, so shalom, everyone. Thank all of y'all for tuning in tonight. It's gonna be a special show. Hey, shalom, shalom, Aki. Good to see you. Good to see you in the building. It's going to be a special show tonight. Got a lot of deep information to get into. I know all of y'all are going to enjoy tonight. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into it. Nice deep show. Got a lot of information. I had some different things that I wanted to be able to show y'all, but because of, I don't know, something going on with my web pages or something, it's not syncing up right. And I was like, so I don't want to show that like that because it looks raggedy. And because my subscribers have been going up and a lot of views have been going up, I want to make sure. I already was trying to make sure I give y'all a good show, but I want to make sure everything is up to par. So it ain't like, what's going on? This joint is raggedy. Raggedy Ann and Andy. Want to get better and better and better so it'll look like something you seeing on late night television or something. You're like, wow, it's really like a talk show. Anyway, so y'all know the segments we got. Of course, we got the breaking news. We want to get into that. There's a lot of stuff that's been happening. A lot of stuff that's been happening. And I'm like, wow, there's a lot of stuff that's been happening. Most of y'all probably already know one of the major things that we're going to talk about that happened. But a lot of stuff happened within this time period from the last show to this week. Also, we're going to deal with right after that, we're going to have our artist of the week. I'm going to go into that. Know you guys been waiting for the current of the month. I've been trying to decide. I had my mind on one person that was really current like, and I said I was going to address that person. But then some other people popped up, and I'm like, I don't know who I'm going to actually do it on, but don't worry, before this month out, we're going to have our current of the month. So that will be coming up as well. But tonight, again, we're going to focus on our breaking news. We're going to get into our artist of the week. And then after that, we're going to go into the main part, which you all have logged on for. So with that being said and done, we want to get into our breaking news. We're going to start it off right now. All right, so I know this is something that y'all all heard about, but I said I want to at least add a part to breaking news, which is like headlines. As y'all see, I'm trying to be more complex with it. This just came out like I just seen this like an hour ago, and I was like, wow, like so the rapper Tory Lanez been sentenced to 10 years in prison. 10 years in prison for shooting Megan Thee Stallion in the foot. I don't know if y'all remember this story, but at first she said he didn't shoot her. Then they went to say they was going to press charges about different things, and she changed the tune of her story. Then he supposedly was shooting at the ground and it shot her. We have no idea what happened, right? But we do know that he was found guilty. And from what I heard, and I could look into this account a little further, I believe that he's going to be on sort of like a lockdown. Like I remember I seen the clip from his lawyer when they was talking on television. They said he's going to be, I think it was like 23-hour lockdown. Don't quote me on that. And I was like, wow. Like, wow. So that was one thing I said, okay, that's a headline. Next headline is Marlon. Marlon is coming under, but we're going to get the Marlon later on the move. We're going to get the Marlon later. We don't want to get the Marlon just yet. This one got me. I knew this was coming. Just took too long to happen. Forgot about it until now. Yeah, 10 years, Aki. 10 years. They was pushing for 13. They gave him 10. The whole thing is crazy. Different accounts. There's different stuff they said happened. Supposedly he was jealous about something and he shot at the ground and shot her foot. Then she took she said she wasn't going to say nothing. Everybody was getting mad. She was snitching on the low. And you got all that dumb mess with. I never understood these young people with their version of snitching. If somebody do something to you, you can't tell on that person because you are snitching. That sound crazy as a mug. If you somebody and you know, only way people in the street used to try to make them make sense was because they saying they want to get payback themselves. That's why they wasn't going to say nothing. They wasn't going to say nothing just because they was going to let you ride and get away with it. So, I'm just not going to say nothing because I'm going to let them ride and get away with it. That wasn't why they wasn't going to say nothing. They wasn't going to say nothing because they was going to try to get you back themselves. These people said, not only are you not going to try to get them back yourself, but you just don't tell because, hey, that's snitching. And I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I heard ever. When I grew up, when they was talking about snitching, the idea behind snitching was you and somebody is doing something that y'all not supposed to be doing, and you get caught. The other person ain't get caught, but you get caught. And in order to lighten up your load and to lighten up your time, you tell on that other person. That's what we call snitching. Y'all all involved in something together, and then the person tell. Not somebody stab you, shoot you, mug you, do whatever they do to you, and then you just can't say nothing because if you say something, you snitching. That's the stupidest thing. That's criminals love that type of world. I could do whatever I want to do to you, and you gonna buy into this, you better not tell. Because if you do tell, you snitching. Oh no, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I never heard of such. These young people and their ideology about snitching just blows my mind. When I grew up, we understood exactly what snitching was. That wasn't it. That wasn't it. Now, if you if you out there in that element and you trying to get payback, then you don't say nothing because you going to try to get payback. But if you ain't going to get payback, we're just supposed to let the person get away with it. They just go off and do it to the next person, No, y'all just sit there quietly and don't say nothing because you can't snitch. Get out of here. That's the stupidest thing I heard in my life. But anyway, that was the case with that. This right here, as y'all see, is, and I've been talking over it for a while because I'm just like, what is going on here? Wayne Brady. Wayne Brady, the brother everybody used to call corny and this, that, and other. He has come out of the closet and says that he is pansexual and made some kind of video with his kids and his ex-wife and all of them on there dancing. And he had some kind of wig on. I'm not sure if they're going to talk about it on this, but I seen that. I said, oh my goodness. Now, for those of y'all who missed my show last week, you might want to get and watch it. My show from last week is dealing with this type of situation. My show from last week is dealing exactly with this type of situation where we was talking about how because of different lifestyles and different stuff that's been pushed by the media, because of those different things that's been pushed by the media, how now these lifestyles it seems acceptable. Everybody celebrates for them, and they come out in the open in the public with young people and say it. So when y'all see me talking about Adam 22 last week and talk about that mess he was doing with his wife, sanctioning adultery and adulterous lifestyle, and most of y'all said, I don't want to see that, and didn't try to look at it at all, you might want to pay attention because this is the type of stuff that is breeding. Look at this. Look, I'm gonna let the clip talk for itself. Look at this.
Up about his sexuality. The comedian tells people exclusively that he identifies as pansexual, which means he's attracted to persons regardless of their sex or gender.
He's attracted to persons regardless of their sex or gender. It doesn't matter. Wayne Brady, the guy that's on TV, or Let's Make a Deal. This guy right here. Let's continue.
He also puts it another way, saying that he's, quote, bisexual with an open mind. Brady first came out to his ex-wife, Mandy, with whom he shares a 20-year-old daughter. They, along with Mandy's current partner, Jason, are set to film a reality series about their blended family, which will premiere on Hulu next year.
And they're going to go into something where it's going to spread even more so that even more young people can check it out and see it and all this stuff. They're going to have a reality show. So when y'all made light last week, what I was saying about Adam 22 and all that stuff, and everybody like, oh, I don't feel like looking at this. I don't know what he's talking about with this. I'm trying to tell you, he's making a deal with the adversary. Yes, he's making a deal. He already made the deal. Look at him. He already made the deal. I was in shock. I was like, oh, wait a minute. What did they just say? Like all that stuff. That's why I said, yeah, I gotta do not just breaking news, but also the headlines for the breaking news. Because this is crazy right here. This is crazy. But I know everybody, when they seen what I did with Adam 20, it was like, oh, he kind of stretching it a little bit. I'm like, no. I seen the same thing happen with this type of lifestyles with Jerry Springer when I was young. And they kept bombarding us with it over and over and over. And we made light of it. Oh, ain't nothing going. Oh, they crazy. Oh, this, that, and the other. And now you got people talking about identifying and all this other stuff. And it's like, where does stuff come from? It came from that stuff we was ignoring. That's why I said, no, we can't ignore that neither. We don't know where that's going to go. We don't know where that's going to go. But it's going somewhere because they put it in the public and it started taking off where people start talking about it and dealing with it. I don't know if it's just to further break down the sanctity of marriage or whatever it is. But look at this. This is the blended family.
And they've been supportive of Brady on his journey, with his ex noting that she knew coming out would help him be happier. Brady explains that at one point, he did ask himself if he was gay after having been attracted to men at times in his life, though he'd never dated a man. After doing some research, he couldn't say he was solely bisexual either, so he came to pansexual, because to him, pan means being able to be attracted to anyone who identifies as gay, straight, bi, transsexual, or non-binary. Brady says he had to start loving his authentic self to be truly happy, but there was shame around his sexuality because of how he was raised. And although he's always had a great relationship.
In other words, he was raised like we was raised, where we was raised in our community that is wrong. He was raised like us. But now, hey, it's a new world, it's a new light, it's a new things going on. How would they say, what my old show went, you can do what you want to do and live in color. And live in color.
With the LGBTQ community, he admits that he always felt like a sham because he wasn't being forthcoming with himself. Now, he says he's doing a lot of therapy and, quote, trying to be the most Wayne Brady I can be. And while he's currently single, Brady isn't looking to date at the moment. He explains, I've got some work to do still. Then Wayne, as a single, open-minded pansexual, can make a decision and be free and open to other people.
Yeah. All right, what's the... All right, so now... Yeah. Woo, let's move on. Now let's get to the breaking news that I wanted you guys to see. Now this is a story that y'all might didn't hear nothing about. I didn't hear nothing about it. And when it came up, I was like, wow. And this story is crazy. And I was like, wow, I didn't hear nothing about this story. But apparently, I'm gonna let them get into it. So this is all the news.
Body camera video from the LA County Sheriff's Department showing a black woman getting punched by a deputy twice while she was taken into custody. And a warning: this video is disturbing. Yeah, the other account that I wanted to show y'all was more, it's more deeper with it, but I couldn't find that video. But well, let me see if they're gonna tell what happened before I get into it. Let's go back. Video is disturbing.
Yeah, so what's happening is she's holding her baby. They're trying to take the baby from her. Now, mind you, it always with a minor traffic stop. This was a minor traffic stop. She wasn't even a person driving. Her and some other young ladies just happened to be in a car with the young man that was driving. She and the other young women didn't have car seats. They was all in a car. The young man was driving. They was holding their babies. All of them had babies. They was all holding their babies. Her baby is a newborn. Really? Thank you. Her baby is a newborn. So, yeah, you always gonna see something that's live. It's live, everybody. It's live. Her baby was a newborn, and she actually was breastfeeding the baby. The police officer wanted to take the baby from her. She didn't want to give her child up. He claimed he tried to do it for the benefit of the child, but he hit her repeatedly while she was holding a child. And the child could have got hit. The child could have fell out of arms. anything could have happened to the baby. So the question is, was he really that concerned about the baby? Or was it she wasn't complying to his demands? What always seems to happen is if you don't comply to their demands, then they get violent and do crazy stuff, right? And then they lock you up and say you were resisting. They say, stop resisting, while they're hitting you, right? Then they'll say you assaulted them. And they're the ones that hit you. I'm gonna let the rest of it play through.
All of this is happening after deputies were demanding to take her baby from her arms. The video also shows another mother in the same incident from July of last year, and deputies taking her baby while taking her into custody. The car the women were in was pulled over for suspicion.
Now, again, she wasn't the driver. Normally, I thought if you do something that's ticket worthy, you just get a ticket. I didn't know you got locked up for it. If you're not wearing a seatbelt, I thought you just got a ticket for not wearing a seatbelt. If you don't have a car seat, I thought you got a ticket. I didn't know you got arrested. I don't know. Is that the law? You get arrested for not having a car seat? But whatever the case was, it was different ways that the situation could have been handled. But the idea is we don't want nobody not complying to our demands. And I'm tired of you running your mouth, because the young lady was running her mouth. I'm tired of you running your mouth. I'm going to hit you in it. And that's what happened.
DUI, and none of the children were in car seats. LA County Sheriff Robert Luna just spoke about this incident and the punch that we saw on that body camera video.
But I'm trying to see. I think they must have blocked the punch, because I don't remember seeing the punch. All right, they're going to. We see him try to take the baby.
Taking her into custody. The car the women were in was pulled over for a suspected DUI, and none of the children were in car seats. LA County Sheriff Robert Luna just spoke about this incident and the punch that we saw on that body camera video.
I found the punching of the woman in these circumstances completely unacceptable.
Of course.
Well, this incident occurred 1 year ago, before my term as sheriff began.
Now think about it. This happened a year ago. Did y'all hear about this? I ain't hear nothing about this. Maybe it's me. I know I don't really look at the news like that, but I didn't hear anything about this. I didn't even hear anything about this coming back up now, after a year since it happened, except online. With the different networks and channels that I look at online, I was able to find this through the underground. But nothing open.
I took swift action upon learning about this incident several days ago.
The deputy involved has been relieved of duty. Sheriff Luna says that they have referred this case to the DA's office.
All right, so they did fire the clown that did it, and so they did something. Yeah.
And the FBI.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate you for your information and all that good stuff. Now, I always got to leave y'all with something, right? And again, as I say, I always say, why can't the police in real life be like the ones on TV? I always say that, right? Let's get to the next part. This is the part that I know all y'all know about. This is what I wanted to do when I seen this account. I said,
He's the teenager being hailed a
when I say this, brother Terrell sent me video. He was like, check this out. And I seen it, and I seen all the different cuts from the different people's cell phones. And I said, I gotta try to put this together so I could show the whole thing. And then I found that, let's say I know my whole timeline was flooded with people who put the different clips together. And I'm like, wow, like within an hour of him sending this to me, it was everywhere. It was all over my timeline, everything. And of course, y'all know this is the brawl that broke out at the riverfront dock in Alabama, in Montgomery, Alabama. And it's going to just go through this a little bit, because this was one of those things where, even though I heard a lot of crazy stuff, this was something I was like, wow, yes, yes, yes. All this is like, yes, right? So, without further ado.
He's the teenager being hailed a hero for swimming to the rescue in the midst of that ugly riverfront brawl.
That's what swimming his over now.
The teen leaps off a riverboat after seeing his coworker being beaten on the dock.
Now, that was my first time actually seeing him jump off the riverboat. Now, Lord, I think he's 16, right? I think he's 16. He jumps off because the riverboat couldn't dock because those guys was blocking where it was supposed to dock at. So he actually jumped off the boat to go help out his coworker. This was deep.
Leaps off a riverboat after seeing his coworker being beaten on the dock. The 16-year-old is now being dubbed a real-life Aquaman. On social media, he is a sensation.
The guy that jumped in the water to help,
yeah,
they're now calling him Jamichael Phelps.
Michael Phelps. I heard Michael B. Phelps.
A family spokesperson praises him as showcasing courage beyond his years. Video of the riverfront rumble is being seen around the world, and we're learning more
it's
today
seen
about how
around
it
the
all
world.
started and why it erupted into a pitched battle with racial overtones. Passengers on this riverboat were getting ready to go ashore after an evening cruise in Montgomery, Alabama. That's the first mate who's gone ashore to remove a pontoon boat blocking the riverboat's dock.
You hear the captain over the PA system suddenly say, "Black pontoon boat, move your boat."
Krista Owen shot this video as the first mate tried to persuade a group of men to move their boat. That's when one knucklehead attacks him.
Yeah, now, that's the little clip I saw. I didn't even see the clip. When I went to start going to the other clips. That's what I say. Is I was like, oh my goodness, it's all those. Look at his look, right? So this is the clip I see.
And you can see him toss his hat away as
See
he
them
gets
toss
ready
his
to
hat?
fight back. But within seconds, he is
Watch
hopelessly
this.
outnumbered
Yeah,
and is
this is
taking
what
a
I
brutal
saw.
beating.
Now I say all these guys coming from everywhere, all these European people, right? Coming over there, kicking them, hitting them, beating on them, even the women. I was like, wow, even the women was hitting them and kicking them and beating on them, right? It was like they was having a good old time kicking and beating on them. And I was like, what? And then I swiped again, and that's what I seen. The cavalry came in, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then I seen the young man swimming. Like, the whole thing was crazy. All he had to do was move the boat. He was just doing his job, and he gets beat up for it. He gets attacked.
What were you thinking when all of a sudden you see the first punch being thrown?
It was breaking my heart, and all of us, of course. Now we're like, I can't believe we have to watch this poor man, be beat, and we can't do anything about it.
He's defenseless.
He's defenseless.
The riverboat captain spoke to a local radio station.
It was difficult for me to sit there in the wheelhouse watching him being attacked. And the whole time I'm on the PA, stop.
Yeah.
So, the whole time, like he says, he's yelling, stop. And then
the cavalry came.
When the riverboat finally docks, some passengers and crew get involved and there's a free-for-all. This woman was thrown into the water. Look at that guy hitting people over the head with the folding chair again and again.
Oh my God! He's going to jail.
Until he's finally overpowered by cops. The fight is angering Mayor Stephen Reed.
This is not indicative of our community at all.
All right, so I got that from Inside Edition. So as most of you guys know, our timeline has went crazy behind this, right? Our timeline has went crazy, right? I was just like, what is going on here? So I say stuff like this, right? Where the young lady, the people start making videos about how the guy threw the hat up. I remember when the guy threw the hat up, they said that was like the bat signal, right? People started talking about it was like the bat signal. So people made videos and memes about it. I just going to showcase some of the ones that I felt was the best ones. Notice, yeah, will be for 3 months to come. This is gonna ride out. This is gonna last a long time, boy. This was unexpected. Like, no one expected this. This was like, wow, what is going on here? Like, that was a good one right there where he threw the hat up and it fell to the lady. And notice the little boy had his game chair. He didn't have a folding chair, but he had the game chair, right? And this is the other one that I felt was a nice one, where it says Agents of Wakanda. You see the guy with the fold-up chair, and you see the other guy that was running real fast to water. Of course, the guy coming up out of the water, and they all began to assist. So I like this one too. I was like, okay, this was a good one. This one right here, this was crazy because it kind of showed like people on a boat like jamming and not paying attention, even though we know they was paying attention. But he tried to paint the picture like the people on the boat was jamming and wasn't paying attention. And then the guy going to throw the head up, and the signal came through.
Avengers!
Assemble. I was like, wow. So it's kind of crazy.
I'm looking for the hole.
So, and then this one was crazy because they had the picture like someone in ancient times, and he hiding from the guards, and he got the fold-up chair as his weapon. Like, people just went crazy with that fold-up chair. I say pictures with the fold-up chair with some black airs on and a do-rag. I was like, yo, they is going crazy. People were going, and it won't stop. Like, people just keep making meme after meme after meme, right? And this one really got me. This is supposed to be one of the people who was attacked, who tried. It ain't really him. It's somebody pretending to be him. At least I think it's somebody pretending to be him. And he's supposed to be speaking out about what happened.
Well, turns out that 65-year-old man could really fucking throw him.
I was like, yo, stop. And then people just was posing with chairs, like, yay, we got the chair, yay. It was crazy. Like, this is just a few of them, right? This is a few. I think it's one more. No, it ain't one more. Then we got the thing with Marlon. Yeah. Oh, Ricky Smiley did an interview with the chair. I'm telling you, Ricky Smiley, like all the people came out talking about it. Ricky Smiley talked about it. Willie D talked about it. Roland Martin talked about it. Like Dr. Richie talked about it. Like everybody was just talking about it. And it just was like, it was like an exciting moment in life, right? Because people weren't used to seeing stuff that happening. They was just used to, you know, black people get attacked. They videotape it. People go viral. You try to find the people so they can either get arrested or they can get fired from their jobs, and that'd be the end of that. But I don't think these guys is expecting black people to jump out and start fighting, and they wasn't expecting what happened to happen. You can tell he was there. It's one clip that I couldn't get. I didn't want to put the clips with all the stuff together because I said YouTube might say it's too much violence and try to block it from being shown. So I said I ain't gonna put all that together. But when they first came, they got with the first mate, and all of them went down to the boat. Like, what was all that stuff y'all was talking a minute ago when y'all jumped my boy? And then they jumped on the boat and pulled them off the boat. And then that's the part we see with them fighting right there at the side of the boat. Anyway, Marlon got in trouble. Black social media went off with him, labeled him a Sambo, Uncle Tom, Uncle Ruckus, all that stuff, because he was talking some zippity doo-dah, while we can't all get along type stuff. And everybody like, what are you talking about? There's a dude there uniting. I love it. Yeah, it was like unity. It was like, it showed what happened if we all said, bump it, let's come together and do what we got to do. There's another clip that's like that as well that I seen before that. Before that happened, it was another clip that I seen, and I tried to send it to myself, but you know, now on the phone where you strolling on Facebook, if you go to another app and you come back, it erase. But it was another one where a young man stood up to the police that was doing something to his woman. He stood up and other brothers around stood up, and that police, who was by himself at the time, became humble. And all that getting toughness that they normally have, that joint just deflated. So then when I say this, it's like black people was getting tired. Like, okay, y'all doing it, y'all pushing a little too much. We tired now. But Marlon came out with the Rodney King, can't we all get along? Or why can't we all get along? And it was like, what are you talking about? Did you not see what happened? Now black people celebrating what happened and you say, can't we all get along? What are you talking about? Like, I think if he felt that way, he probably should have just kept it to himself. I don't know what he thought was going to happen. Maybe he wanted to get dragged through the social media. I don't know. But, yeah, they dragging him. He made a response clip. I'll probably show that next week. He made a response clip. I don't know exactly what he said on a response, where I think he was trying to explain himself after the backlash. But, yeah, they went in. They went in on him and called him all kind of uncles and Ruckuses and Thomases and all that other stuff. And it was like, wow. Wow. And last thing I want to show is a clip from Malcolm. And Malcolm is actually talking about or dealing with sort of like what we just saw. And Brother Malcolm makes some great points. And we're going to just play a little bit of his clip, and then we're going to get into our artist of the week.
I take it then you support the freedom-loving attempts of the peaceful marches in Alabama and these places.
You don't get freedom peacefully. Freedom is never safeguarded peacefully. Anyone who is depriving you of freedom isn't deserving of a peaceful approach by the ones who are being deprived of their freedom. And when black people in this country come out from under the mental straitjacket that the Negro clergymen have placed them in, and begin to see that the only way you can get freedom is to get it the same way the white man in this country got it from England, or he says he got it from England. He was willing to pay the price for freedom. When you're willing to pay the price for freedom, then you get it. But the Negro in this country has never been willing to pay the price for his freedom. All of the price that we have been paying in the past has been freedom for the white man. We fought abroad so that the white man in America could be free today to sick police dogs on us, to beat our people in the heads with police clubs, and to turn water hose on little women and children and babies simply because they want to walk down the street like decent human beings.
Now, think about that. Malcolm said this all those years ago. Did things change that much? Are the police still guilty of doing these type of things? Remember the guy who gave up, had his hands up that I talked about last week? I believe that was last week I talked about him. And the police sicked the dog on him anyway? No, I don't think I talked about it. I think I watched it and I was going to talk about him. The guy put his hands up, surrendering to the police, and the cop sicked the dog on him anyway. Seeing a guy surrendering, dog mauling him, busting people in the head, doing whatever they want to do, right? This is the type of stuff that Malcolm was talking about all those years ago. And it's still happening today. Malcolm talked about this all those years ago. And it's still happening today.
Now, the only way you can have peace is to eliminate those injustices, and the American white man is not going to eliminate them. He's going to talk that pretty talk, but he'll still continue to practice those inhuman deeds.
But I take...
And as we say, everybody talk, oh yeah, we're going to fight this, we're going to change that. Did it really change? Aren't those things still happening right now? All right, that was my thought with it. So here we go. We want to now get into our artist of the week. Is a young man known as Shlomo ben Yehuda or Solomon ben Judah. And he said, nope, yes, they are guilty and nothing has changed because they dissembled Black Panthers and organizations that led by black leaders, and drugs messed up our communities. We need unity. Amen. Amen, Aki. You are on point tonight, Aki. You are on point tonight. And that's the main thing. And as you know, I push unity through Torah. Unity through Torah. That's what we need. People always say, well, we always had the Bible. We had the Bible. I said, I ain't saying nothing about having the Bible. I said through Torah, in other words, doing what he says to do in that Bible. The actual laws, the actual 613, the ones that we actually can do in this foreign land. If we partook, all of us, and did this as one, that would be powerful. That would be very, very powerful. And that would change everything. All right. So let's go ahead and get into our artist of the week. Solomon ben Yehuda, or he also calls himself Solomon the Jew. And this is his song. And I hope you all enjoy it as I did. And in light of seeing and everybody being pumped about what happened with the chair and all that stuff in Montgomery, I felt like, again, like, wow, this song is so fitting. And in light of it talking about us grabbing hold of Torah, let's get united under Torah and do what we need to do Torah.
Yeah. Time for Israel. That's all I have to say to Jesus Christ.
Let's get it. Seed of the king. I spring out of Judah. Please don't misinterpret my aggression. For hate to tell my people.
I don't hate my people.
We got some work to do. My people, they need some direction. These rappers is lying. Our leaders is weak, man. It ain't no question. Who got the answers though? We the Israelites. We got the answers though. They lead in our scripts, but we not no actors though. We really got the verses. Ain't your pastor though? We really the prophets. Boy, you cannot stop this. Keep the commandments or die. It's no option. Chosen by God. I'm not trying to die. Yeah, tell me your nationality. I tell you mine, yeah. Heart of a lion, yeah. Made up my mind, yeah. I really made up my mind, yeah. I got no doubts in my mind. Said it before. You better get yourself together. Being a dummy just ain't cool. Giving solutions. The Bible's an answer. Christ said we his sheep. You know we amongst those. Your pastor, he act like he prophesied. He really be out here prophesying. He only knows scripture at time. Touching little boys, he inside of mine. Christmas a lot, Easter a lot. They say that New Year's in the dead of the winter. The Bible say different. Do we trust the men or in God? I mean, who do we really believe? I don't know about you, but I had to give my life to the Lord. They out here teaching lies and people don't know where to turn or where to go. We on the corners out teaching. It's something that you need to know. We've been restoring the people fighting every day to say the truth.
Yeah. That joint is fire. Fire, fire, fire. I really feel it. I was like, wow. And at first I said, man, this brother dope. And really, really like that joint. That joint fire, pump you up and inspires you to go forward and do what you got to do. You know, it's really, really fire, fire, fire. Again, I don't believe I said this at the beginning. I'm taking for granted that everyone knows me. On this show, I'm your host, Rosh Ya'acob ben Abraham, Rabbi of Gethsemane Spiritual Temple Congregation, where we focus on Torah, knowledge, and understanding. And as I said, before we went there, that's my aim and my goal, for all us to come together with Torah, So we got to deal with these issues out here based off of Torah and just go there. That's what it's all about, Torah. And yeah, powerful, Aki, powerful. All right, so let's get to what you guys are here for today. Yeah. Got all the flashing like lightning. All right, let's get to what you guys are here for today. Let me see. All right, so take myself out the picture. All right, so this is what we here for today. We're going to get into it. It's about to get deep. Got our brother, Divine Prospect. If y'all don't know this brother, he is very, very deep, very astute. Hebrew brother. He has knowledge of Torah. He got knowledge of everything, right? Really, really good brother. Been seeing him do his thing for years now. And he got into this debate on this app called Clubhouse. And he got into this debate in this app called Clubhouse
with this rabbi, and I felt like it was a good discussion. And I said, wow, this is deep and will be beneficial and edifying for the audience to be able to hear the dynamic between these two. And that had me sort of in the middle trying to bring clarity to what exactly is being said. And I was like, wow, this is really going to be a good one. Really going to be a good one. And can't wait to get into it. So let's go ahead and get into it and just dig in with this wisdom and this knowledge. Yeah, so that's his logo. See how tight that joint is. Brother, let me put my thing out the way so you can see his Patreon if anybody want to link up with the brother and then support him. That's all this information right there.
In the former room, Divine Prospect was trying to say something. He yielded the floor to me because he's such a gentleman. But I did want to hear him. You have the floor, Divine, to say what you wish.
Yeah, I appreciate that, y'all. And I want to say I respect Abba Iban for even being here and engaging with us outside of the previous room, even though, Joel was a mod. That goes to show that, you generally want to build. So I do appreciate that. And of course, I need somebody to go have a discourse back and forth because Mordecai is not here. And who was the other guy that was in here with Abba? Was it Mayor? He's not here. I think he's in the previous room I was in or whatever. So are you willing to have a dialogue in regards to the Mishnah, Abba Ivan?
Yeah, we can start and see where it goes.
Okay.
Let's see how it goes.
All right, now that guy he's talking to is the conservative rabbi that he just met in the room that day. They're gonna have a good conversation. And we're gonna be talking about something called the Mishnah. Now, for those of you who might don't know what a Mishnah is, you might be like, what in the world is a Mishnah? Right? All right, so basically what the Mishnah is. The Mishnah is what we would consider the oral law. It is the oral law in its nucleus, right? I know y'all heard of oral law, y'all might think of Talmud. Maybe y'all might don't know what Talmud is, right? All right, so let me explain it. So Talmud is the Mishnah and the Gemara combined. The Mishnah and the Gemara combined is known as the Talmud, right? You have different types of Talmud. The main one that everybody says holds more weight than the other seems to be the Babylonian Talmud. They said all the giants were involved in putting that together. Where the Gemara, where the other one is, so they say the other one is the Yerushalayim or the Jerusalem Talmud. The Jerusalem Talmud, which some would think would have more authority, they say don't have as much authority as the Babylonian one. And the Babylonian one actually has even more books than the Jerusalem one. Now, the one thing that both of them have in common is the Mishnah. The Mishnah is the nucleus for both of them. So both of them are surrounding the Mishnah, right? The thing that makes it different is the Babylonian has the Babylonian version of the Gemara, which is basically a commentary for the Mishnah.
And then you have the Jerusalem has their version of the Gemara, which is basically a commentary for the Mishnah. Sometimes they agree and they link up. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes one going more in depth about something. Sometimes it's not. It's based off of different communities. So we want to hear Brother Divine touch on this somewhat. I think close towards the end of the discussion. This discussion, I got the video link in the description if y'all want to look at this without me stopping and talking and defining stuff that's in it. If y'all want to look at it for yourself, because you're like, I know what he's talking about. I don't need you to break that down for me. Then, yeah, you can go ahead and look in the description. It's right there under the main source clip, and you will see it, the clip for it. And you also see that it's almost 4 hours long. We're not going to deal with that whole thing because what it is it was the discussion that happened on Clubhouse. And Clubhouse is almost like I guess you can say it's like a dynamic where you got rooms. You can go in a room and it's sort of like people meet in a room and they discuss a topic. And of course, y'all notice on the screen that we just had up on that screen, it doesn't have a video to it because it's all audio, right? So if you need something visual, Clubhouse might not be the thing for you. But if you love to have good discussion and listen and love podcasting and all that kind of stuff, then you'll like Clubhouse, all right? I like it. Sometimes you be on there, you can hear people talk, and you be like, wow, and they get on deep sub. You'll forget that you actually can't see whatever it is. Like, you'll just be listening. You might be doing whatever else you're doing. You be like, wow, this is deep. That's why it's really addictive. A lot of people love Clubhouse. They got involved with it. It was a very good idea. Anyway, that's why it's almost 4 hours long if you see it. Now, I believe the information that we're going to be dealing with is only an hour in. Of course, we're not going to get through that with this one show. So we're going to, not just this one show, probably going to have at least 2 shows, maybe 3. We'll see where it goes. Because I really want us to get into the information and get to the point that Brother Divine was trying to bring out. Because he's trying to bring out a point. And I don't want us to miss his point. Because it's very important. Very, very important point that he's trying to bring out. So we're going to go ahead and get back into that. Of course, if you're new to this channel, please like, share, subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Okay, so without further ado, let's get back into it.
I'm going to try to sort of, I'm going to give the answers that I know to give from.
Yeah, that's fine.
I hope those are going
That's
to be,
fine.
I hope those are going to be okay. I'll do my best to sort of bring sources and evidence that I.
Yeah,
that
it suffices.
I, in other words, nobody has to take my word for it. But just, I am a rabbi. I've been a rabbi for 10 years. Lived my life as a religious Jew. So like, I'm not making stuff up.
Hey, John.
So I'll do my best.
Wednesday's Terry's last day, right? Wednesday.
Oh,
no, sorry. Tuesday.
Now, if you notice, somebody just start talking and they don't realize that their mic is unmuted. So they just start talking out the blue. You're going to see stuff like that happen on there. Some people going to just bump in and try to interrupt the conversation and try to take it to where they want it to go. And we'll see all this kind of stuff happen. That's the type of stuff happening in Clubhouse. Where you got to say, hold up, man, mute your mic. What's going on here, right? It was like, it came out of nowhere. I was like, who is that?
Somebody has to mute Priest.
You need any days off before then because it's going to be tough.
Okay. Go ahead, Abba.
No, I'm just saying, I have no problem talking about, books in my tradition and how they work. I'll do the best.
Yeah, and that's all I'm asking, right? So
Yeah,
there's
me
different
too.
ways to critically analyze and evaluate what we call the Talmud, right? Which consists of both the Mishnah and the Gemara.
Now, see, he just said the exact same thing I just said when I broke it down. The Talmud consists of the Mishnah and the Gemara. That's what the Talmud is. The Mishnah is the oral law. All right, keep that in mind.
Right. And in a wider sense, the Midrashim and others, right? So my beef is not, and when I say beef, I'm using that loosely, right? It's not really an egregious issue, but it's not necessarily the nature of the content and the methodology used to parse it out so one can then understand it, right? And again, the way the Talmud is written is so that certain elements are tokenized, right? Or disguised from those who are not initiates. So there's some things on the surface may seem to read something in a cursory means, but the initiate has a different understanding based on the methodology used to interpret.
All right, now, what he's saying, I was sort of like the rabbi. I was like, what is he saying? The initiative? And it's almost like saying, in order to understand the Talmud, you gotta be in some kind of secret group, and only people in that secret group can understand it. That's not true, right? So as he was saying, I was like, okay, Divine, where you going with this, right? And you're going to see this rabbi is going to say this. He's going to be saying the same thing. Like, hold up, what do you mean, right? And they're going to have a nice discussion where they're going to open it up, and Divine is going to be able to see what he's saying about it, and that it is no secret initiated group, this, that, other. Now, it is some stuff that you got to be wrote in to be able to understand, but that's not Talmud. That's some other stuff that they aren't talking about. So when I first heard he was saying, I was thinking, is he going there? But then when he came, I said, oh, okay, he's not going there. So, but he's going to ask somebody, what do you mean initiative? What are you talking about?
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? What do you mean? There's things that are hidden from the uninitiated.
Okay, that's why.
Yeah. So in his mind, he probably thinking the same thing I'm thinking. Is he talking about the esoteric teachings? Of course, those things are hidden, right? But he's not talking about the esoteric teaching. He's just talking about the Talmud. And it's like, in the oral law, and it's like, no, that's not right.
Wish Mordecai was here. So an example of that is you were going back and forth with Yoel, right? And you guys were having a discussion on a particular tractate, correct? Of the Gemara,
yeah.
Correct? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you gave an understanding, and he gave an understanding,
mm-hmm.
right? So you would say what he's reading is a cursory understanding. And what you are sharing is based on being trained to read the text based on a system of interpretation as it applies to the Gemara.
Okay. All right. So I see. So I'm trying. I'm rolling with him. I see where he's going with this. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the system that the Gemara thinks you're going to read it in.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so that means
that's
you
like,
being an initiate, somebody who is taught and trained and tutored to do this.
That's where we kind of get it somewhere else. Like, it's not... okay.
There will be some insight and understanding and a way of interpreting what the rabbis are saying in the Gemara, as opposed to somebody who has not gone through that school of initiation. That's method right. So that's right. What I'm saying. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So I'm saying that because those go to yeshivas and they learn this type of methodology, right? Like you learn it in a, not just like in a religious portion, but in a yeshiva where they actually take a look at it critically, right? And look into things that may be perceived one way from the outside and how the system was set up internally and be able to look at both sides. where they can give a more holistic response when inquiries come in, right, from either side. So what I'm saying is, my issue is not necessarily how one interprets the Talmud, right? Consists of most of Mishnah and the Gemara. I have no qualms with that, right? And that's something we could discuss. Me personally, I do read the Mishnah, right? I read it for its there's value in it, right? Because it has preserved a time in history that without it, we would be unknowledgeable on how certain things operate.
So in other words, when he reads the Mishnah, he's reading it for historical purposes, to get an understanding of the context of how people lived during a certain time period in their life. That's not necessarily how you're supposed to look at the Mishnah, but that's how he uses it. I'm gonna let the conversation develop a little more before I give some more input.
The main premise that I have in dealing with that is its providence. And that's what I mentioned earlier in the room. And I think we touched on a little bit of that, but I think the focal point was just the particular tractate that you and Yoel was going back and forth on. So my issue is providence. Now, when I hear people saying, oh, the Mishnah that we have today, that's the key word, that we have today, goes all the way back to Moshe, and then from him, Yehoshua and others, that I have a problem with. Now, the current consensus in regards to the providence of the Mishnah, right, what we call the oral tradition, or what's called Bipei Torah today, does not go back past Nehemiah.
All right, now let me give you more clarity on what he's talking about in this scene. All right. So, in this part right here, he's dealing with something from Tractate Avot, right? Which is Pirkei Avot, or Ethics of the Fathers. I actually had this class in the yeshiva when we actually went through this. So I was familiar with it when he began to say different things about it. And I wanted to point out something that's said in Pirkei Avot. I'm trying to find it. I wonder if I can find it on you know what, this might be one of them times where I can go to okay. All right, so let me go here. Let's go here real quick. All right, so this is one of my favorite web pages. Like I told you, I love this. It's called Sefaria. It has everything. Got the Tanakh, got the Talmud, got the Mishnah, Midrash, Halacha, Kabbalah, Literary, Jewish thought. Like, it got everything. The responsa, like, oh man, it has everything, right? Love it, love it, love it. So let's go to the Mishnah. All right. So believe the one that he is talking about, yep, is Pirkei Avot. So this is Pirkei Avot. Oh, you can't see it. Let me move my man out the way. There we go. So this is Pirkei Avot. So this is one of the tractates of the Mishnah. And this is the one that I believe he is talking about, right? In Pirkei Avot, chapter 1, it starts off by breaking down how the Mishnah, or the oral law, was passed down. And it says, Moshe received the Torah at Sinai. So you're going to hear him talking about this. You're going to hear the Conservative Rabbi speaking about this, right? So it says, Moshe received the Torah at Sinai and transmitted it to Yahshua. Now, so it says Moshe, or Moses, received the Torah from Sinai. So we know he went to Mount Sinai and received the Torah. right? But this is not just talking about the written Torah. This is also about the oral or spoken Torah. And it's saying that he went there and got this as well. And as he passed down the written Torah to the elders and to the people so they can have the written Torah and know it, he passed down the oral Torah to Yahshua. In other words, he spoke it in his ear. Yahshua, in turn, passed it down to the elders. These elders are basically the Sanhedrin, right? The elders passed it to the Nevi'im, the prophets. And then it says, and the prophets passed it to the men of the great assembly. And that was basically where the rabbis came from, right? And it says, they said three things. Be patient in administration of justice, raise many disciples, and make a fence around the Torah. And that's how Perikei Avot starts off, right? It gives us this brief understanding of how the Mishnah or the oral law was passed down, and then it gives us sayings, and these sayings go on, and they very wise sayings that we can live by today. These are very wise sayings. They go on and on and on about different things, right? But this is what brother Divine Prospect is speaking against. He said he doesn't like this idea of saying that the oral law was given at Mount Sinai and then passed down to Yahshua, and then from Yahshua to the elders, and the elders to the prophets, and the prophets to the men of the great assembly. He's saying, no, this came around the time of Nehemiah, or what we would say Nehemiah, when they was going back in and building up. And he's saying that's where it came from. That's his argument, right? And we're going to see how this rabbi deals with this argument that Divine is making.
Like that's like the origin of where it comes from, right? And then it evolves from there more formally during the Grecian period when the Israelites was in captivity, right? And
I'm sorry to interrupt, but before we get too far, do you mind if we pause for a sec?
Okay.
So he wants to go back because he's in the same boat that I'm in, where he's like, wait a minute, let's not go all the way up there. We still got some things we got to deal with right here concerning the stuff that's being said. And he's going to try to give a rabbinic understanding of this to Divine.
Go ahead.
Just sort a couple things out.
Yeah, you got it.
So I agree. So I agree with you that sort of when we look historically, right? When did texts like the Mishnah, right, those particular teachings, when did they emerge in history?
Yeah. Now again, the idea that he's coming from that they didn't really get into yet is he's saying, because we know you got the Babylonian Talmud comes from them in Babylon. And that's when they was going back into the land. Some people decided they was going to stay in Babylon. A lot of the giants, they the ones that made up the Babylonian Talmud. The people that went back to Jerusalem with Nehemiah or Nehemiah, they're the ones that made up the Jerusalem Talmud. So he's saying that's where it comes in line with Babylonium and Jerusalem. So I get where he's going at with that. But what we have to understand is during that time period, it was not written down. Okay, the Mishnah was not written down during that time period that he's speaking on. The Mishnah was not commissioned to be written down until 200 AD. So the time he's speaking about is way before that. But he said that that's where the stuff came on the scene from. But it's something we can say about that as well. But I'm gonna let it develop more.
We know, according to historians, we even know, according to the Mishnah and the Talmud itself, when those actually came on the scene in history as a discrete sort of set of instructions, right? And the way that the tradition views the Mishnah, again, I want to be precise about this. The way that the tradition understands the Mishnah for itself, for its own purposes inside its own system, is that it got to the place that it did in the 2nd century because of an unbroken chain of tradition that goes all the way back to Moses that is listed in the first Mishnah of Mishnah Avot.
Yeah, the Mishnah Avot is Perikei Avot, which what I just read to you all. So, basically he said, yeah, you pointing at that time when it's split, you got the Babylonian and the Jerusalem, and these ideas seem to be coming from. But the idea is that that's a continuation of what happened from Moshe as he passed it down to these men that eventually became the Great Assembly, right?
Okay, pause here for again another second. Okay, so because you're quite about provenance, where does the provenance or the authority of that text come from? All over rabbinic literature, you will see that the rabbis all over the place are very clear on the idea that the oral Torah always accompanied the written Torah.
And that's what I just said. That's how it's taught. When Moshe received the written Torah on Har Sinai or Mount Sinai, he also received the oral Torah. Now, y'all might be saying, come on, I ain't buying that, right? But hear me out. I know y'all not trying to buy it. I know y'all like, come on with that, right? Always use this example. First, let me explain why I'm going to use the example. The written Torah gives you the instructions on what to do, but it doesn't fully tell you how to do it. The how comes from the oral Torah. The oral Torah explains to you how to do what the written Torah tells you to do. That's why it's taught that they accompanied each other. Because you had to have an understanding on how to do the written. Most classic example is kosher. How do you slaughter an animal kosherly? You know, how do you do it right? And I had many brothers that was against the Talmud, really, really against it. Didn't want to hear nothing about it. Didn't want to hear nothing about no Mishnah, no oral law, no nothing, right? And I said, okay. I didn't tell them where I was going. I baited them in. I said, how you supposed to slaughter an animal according to Torah, kosherly? How you supposed to do that? And they say, you get the sharpest knife, right? You take the animal, you make sure you take that sharp knife, smooth it out, and you make sure you slice a certain way across the jugular. You take the animal, you hang it upside down, you let the blood drain from it. Some might even go far as talking about how you salt the animal to draw the blood out, because the idea of slaughtering an animal kosherly is to make sure that it doesn't have any blood in it, right? So you have to drain the animal. You salt the animal to draw the blood out. So after they give me those nice explanations and break down how you're supposed to do it, I say, wow, that's good. They say, yeah, man. And I say, okay, where say do that at in Torah? Brothers get searching. I'm going to show you in the scripts. Okay. If some of y'all want to look, y'all can look now and try to see where it says to do all of that I just explained in the Torah. And they have to admit, it don't say it. But yet everybody knows that that's what you do, right? And I say, you know where it does tell you to do all that stuff? In the Mishnah. The Mishnah tells you to do all that stuff. The Mishnah breaks all that stuff down. The Gemara gives instruction about those different things as well, right? That no matter what community you in, when I ask that question, everybody basically word for word say the same thing, right? And I say, well, where you get that from? That's part of the oral Torah. All the Torah says is that you let the blood run to the ground, that you let the water drip to the ground. And it talks about that aspect, but it doesn't tell you how to slaughter the animal. But the Mishnah does. So that's the idea behind it. The oral Torah explains to you how to do the written Torah. It's the explanations. When it comes to different holy days and you trying to figure out like how the brothers do now, where this one camp celebrate Pesach a month before the other camp, and everybody arguing saying, y'all wrong, right? And nobody want to agree. But then, when you look at the oral Torah, it tells you exactly what to look for, how to view it, all these different things that line up where if you do it the way it's supposed to be done, you're like, wow, okay, this is it, right? You know, and I start telling brothers, we debating and arguing over stuff that's already been decided on. And they had all the same arguments we got. Now, we're doing what some brothers used to say, and if these brothers watch it right now, they'd be like, they're gonna know that I'm coming from their time. Back in the day when we used to be over here debating about these different things, or on Facebook and on social media, brothers would come and say they don't want to have nothing to do with the Talmud, and they'd start talking the way they talk, and they'd be like, brother, you freestyling. Not freestyling like the rap, but freestyling like you doing your own thing. That's not how it's done, right? First, I used to hate when they used to say, you freestyling. Like, ain't nobody freestyling, right? But now it's like I understand. Like, brothers is on point, right? Real fine brothers like Judah Moshe and all them other brothers to be on here. Brother John and all them other brothers used to break stuff down, right? Nehemiah and all them other brothers. Big up to all of them. We used to have great discussions. Great discussions. Built and learned so much from them brothers. Anyway. So that's the whole thing with this situation right here, right? You gotta have the instructions. You gotta have the know-how to carry out the instructions. Can't just give you a list of instructions. That's like somebody trying to cook, and all you cooks out here can attest to that. I know you, Brother Tony, I know you're a master chef, if you still on. I know you're a master chef, and I know you can attest to this. You can have a list of ingredients all day long that tell you put this amount in there, that amount in there. But if you don't have the person with you to show you exactly how to do it, then it's not even going to happen right. You need to have someone that's going to be able to explain to you what you do once you get all these ingredients. I got all these ingredients. What I'm supposed to do now? That's what the Mishnah does. The Mishnah explains to you how to carry out what's written. And it was done orally. It was done spoken. It wasn't written down until 200 AD. And originally, it was never supposed to be written down. We'll get into that probably next week as they go further. But the oral law was never supposed to be written down. It was supposed to always be fluid so that it can function within whatever time period you're living in. It's never supposed to be written down, right? So you got these instructions. Just like classic thing I was telling somebody the other day. You can have the ingredients all day long to sweet potato pie, but everybody can't make sweet potato pie. Some people's sweet potato pie is nasty. It's terribly nasty. Terribly nasty. Right? And you just be like, what is this? And then some people's sweet potato pie be the best. And the idea is you can have the instructions all day long. If you don't have that person there to talk you through to say, okay, Berber, you do this and you do that. And then you add this and you shake this a little bit this way and that way. And you make sure you do this extra stuff, right? Everybody don't put all of that kind of stuff in the main recipe. They just give you the recipe. So you get the recipe, you cook it, and you wonder why it don't taste like grandma's taste. Because you wasn't watching all the stuff grandma did. Grandma might have wrote it down and said this how you do it, but grandma was over there doing some extra stuff that you, if you weren't paying attention, aren't privy to. It's the same way. And I like this because it shows that this is part of as Dr. Ben Yakanan used to point out in his book We the Black Jews. This is part of the Africanness, the Hebrew culture, right? Because the Africans all use oral tradition to pass down information. That's why when the Europeans came in and they didn't see a bunch of writing, they said, oh, they're not on our level because they're not writing stuff, right? And it was like, what are you talking about? These people pass down stuff spoken word, orally, mouth to ear. And you had to do it the right way. Teachers was killed if they couldn't recite and teach it the exact way it was taught to them by people before them. And this is that transition that we see being spoken of. It says Moshe transmitted to Yahshua. Otherwise, Moshe, remember who was Yahshua? Yahshua was his understudy. Yahshua was his number one Talmud, right? His number one disciple. And he taught him. And he mimicked Moshe. Moshe would do something a certain way. He did it that way. He mimicked and learned and absorbed everything from him. So that's why it says Moshe passed it to him. Then he, in turn, passed it to the Sanhedrin. And then they, in turn, passed it down. But that's the idea, this oral passing down from mouth to ear. Deep, deep, deep. I don't know. To me, this is deep. So y'all might be bored right now, like, oh man, he put me to sleep. What is he talking about? Oh my goodness, right? But this is very deep to me. Just even being able to expound this stuff to you all is very deep for me.
Correct.
Very clear.
I'm aware of
very,
that.
Very
Okay.
clear about it. Now, you can challenge that in all kinds of ways if you like, right? And there are all kinds of ways that you might want to challenge that. However, what you cannot say, because it's a matter of fact, is that Jewish tradition itself believes that the oral Torah was given on Mount Sinai with the written Torah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Now, so anytime that you want to sort of challenge that, all you're doing is challenging first premises, right? And that's what was my comments quite a bit in the last room, which is if you're not on that page, right, and you're on a different kind of page about literalism and what's actually revelation and what's not, right, then it's going to be exceptionally challenging to understand the entire process of rabbinic teaching and how it works. Because it relies on the idea that when Moses received the Torah, Moses also received oral from God, right? Oral teachings from God about how to study the Torah and particular interpretations of things that are only mentioned in brief. This is like a first principle. If you
And it's so much to deal with this. Like Rambam wrote in his commentary to the Mishnah about this, and the idea was that people can have the written Torah and say, "Oh, I'm Israel. Oh, I'm Israel. I got this written Torah in my hands." But if they didn't know how to do the stuff that was in it, then you know that they aren't. And the way that you would know if they knew how to do the stuff was in it if they understood the oral law. They didn't understand the oral law, that no, they're not Israel. They don't even understand the oral law. And that was a way to look at that. Now, Divine is going to bring up some good points about this later, where I'm just going to drop it in. What if people lost their identity? So Divine is going to bring us some good points about that aspect of it later. And I was like, that's deep, because he's speaking about us. He's trying to bring it around to us. So I understood where he was going at it when he started going in that direction. First, I didn't understand, but the more I listened, I said, okay, I see exactly where he's going.
You don't hold that first principle, you're going to be confused about how it can be that Baba Metzia 59 rabbis can read that verse seemingly against its natural context. But the reason that they can do it is because of this idea of oral Torah being given at the same time as written Torah. So last thing, and then I'll throw it back to you. So once you're going to challenge the sort of system itself, right, which is a legitimate challenge if you want, right, then you're not going to get at what the system is telling you from the inside. You're just shouting from the outside. If you want to understand from the inside, you have to get into that mindset before you can understand exactly what's going on. Because otherwise, you're just going to be using your rules of interpretation of dealing with the text and not really understanding how we do it.
All right. Now, basically what he said is, we got a certain way to view the Mishnah. We got a certain way to view the text. Right? Now, if you come from your point on how you want to look at it, you can do that. That's fine. But you're not really going to understand how we look at it. And that's the thing that's being discussed. You're not going to really get how we look at the text. You're going to just get you looking at it. Now, Divine is going to take this to mean that the way we look at it is some kind of secret initiative way, which is not what is being said. In other words, it's sort of like you come into somebody's house and they got a set of rules and they interpreting their rules to you. You say, no, I say your rules mean this. And you're looking like, no, that's what you're saying, but I'm telling you what it means. You can't come in the house and tell me what it mean. But yeah, I'm gonna let him go on.
No, and again, so I'll concede to a few points that you made in regards to internally, and that's when I laid my first premise, and I talked about the diametrically opposed positions on one of those who read it from a cursory perspective and those who read it from an initiatory perspective. Right? I laid that premise out initially.
All right, now he's still taking it from somebody who knows and somebody who doesn't, right? So he's saying initiative and cursory. So let's look at those words. Initiative versus cursory. So let's see what cursively is, what cursively means before I try to get my idea on what cursory means. So he's saying cursory is an adjective. And it means rapidly or often superficial, performed or produced. So in other words, it's a superficial understanding. So he's saying you got some people that might have a superficial understanding, right? And then you have people that's been initiated. The people that's been initiated, they have they have an initiative understanding. Let me make this a little bigger. All right, so it's the ability to assess and initiate things independently. The power or opportunity to act or take charge before. So basically someone who has a deeper understanding of it, right? Someone who's been initiated into a certain school of thought. That was my initial idea on what he meant. That's not the case. You know, that's where he's going with it, but that's not the case, right? So what's the case? What's the case? Let's get back to what the case is. What's the case?
And I said that is not my qualm, right? The issue that I take is provenance. Now, you have to have a presupposition, a predisposed presupposition that what exists today that's considered Mishnah is what Moshe had at that time that it was revealed to him at Mount Sinai. That is the problem.
I don't think I have to have that presupposition.
Why not? You just mentioned it. That's the only way you can understand it internally. That's what you just said, right?
Right. So let me try to expand. I don't think I have to say that Moses received exactly the words of the Mishnah as we have today. And the reason I don't have to say that is because I understand that an oral tradition, it's transmitted even from the point of Sinai from God's mouth, is going to have certain flexibilities built into it.
Yeah, in other words, like I said, it was supposed to be fluid, flexible. It's supposed to have been in a way where we got different stuff, like we got AI and all these things coming about because of AI. What we deal with AI. Well, we can go to the Torah. You say the Torah talk about AI? Way back then, ain't know nothing about AI. Okay, well, as we look at interpreting different things based off of Mishnah and other stuff, they give us an idea on how to deal with AI. All the different elements of different things. That's how the fluidity was supposed to be. The problem is it was written down. And because once something gets written down, it's kind of hard to go against what was written because it's like it was written. So now it's sort of like that takes away from it, right? And it was never supposed to be written down. It was only written down because Judah Hanasi, or Judah the prince, and in the last Sanhedrin during that time period, said that we would lose all his knowledge and wisdom. Let's get this straight. It was written down because Judah Hanasi felt that we was going to lose all the information we had. He kept seeing all the exiles we went through. The last one during this time period was really, really bad. And he feared that we would lose all the oracles. So all the wisdom and knowledge of how to keep Torah and how to do Torah, how to perform those mitzvot, how to perform those commandments, he felt like all it would be lost. So he got with the Sanhedrin, and they said, even though we not supposed to do it, they had some kind of little parable, and I'll try to find it where they talk about severing your arm to save your body. I think that's how they put it. Whereas though, yeah, we not supposed to do this, but this is to save us all, so we won't lose everything. So if I gotta sever my arm to save my body, then I just gotta sever my arm, right? That was the idea behind that. So that's what they said. We gonna do what we not supposed to do. We gonna write it down. That was all supposed to be for us. So that one day, when we wake up, back to the knowledge of self, and we looking at this Torah and we trying to figure out how to do certain things in this Torah, we can look to the Mishnah, look to the Or Torah, and all the ways to practice and do those things are right there. But the problem was, for most of the brethren, some other people was doing it. And they gave the credit to the work that Yehuda, Hanasi, and the others put together to save us. They gave the credit to others. And then rejected the very thing that they did in order to save. They rejected it. They said, we don't want to have nothing to do with it. That's what we see happening in this situation. And is this is good. This is a good conversation. Good conversation. Good conversation. All right, let's get back into it.
To account for all of the situations that are going to happen in the future. In other words, the oral law is not only the content of the explanations of the Torah and the Halacha. The oral law is also the system of learning the Torah.
All right, so he's breaking it down like as I was listening, I'm like, wow, this guy's giving essentials, right? And I want to make sure this don't go over any of our heads. And of course, Brother Divine already knew where he was going, and it was just such a good conversation. Because watch how Brother Divine going to segue, and it was sort of like the yin and the yang, and it was such a beautiful conversation. That's why I felt like this would be nice for us. Instead of hearing me fuss at people and go through this, let's just hear some people break down some knowledge and wisdom.
The rules of learning the Torah.
And I'm gonna show you where that comes from.
What we say is what we say, what we're confident about, or that we at least believe, or doctrine we say, right? The rules of interpreting the Torah minimally were given to Moses. And so and the rabbis of the Talmud and the Mishnah are making use of all those same rules.
Now wait, stop right there. Stay right there.
That was deep. That was deep. That was deep. Don't let that go over your head. That was deep.
Okay.
You said minimally. Can you please outline for us and highlight what those basic foundations are minimally that things were then built upon? Where can we get that source from?
You mean what are the rules of interpretation?
No, the ones you said that is minimally based off of what Moses received, right? So I'm saying,
Yeah.
So what is those things that he received? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, there's 13 rules of interpretation that are taught in the name of Rabbi Yishmael.
No, does it come from Moshe, I'm saying?
Again, if you're looking for explicit verses, okay, that say.
Now, I wish he would have just broke down more than just doing what he's doing. He's now trying to figure out, and this is one thing that people do when you have discussions sometimes. Instead of listening to what the person is actually saying, you're trying to figure out what the person is trying to get out of what they're saying. And I think that was the only thing I didn't like about the conversation that they were having. Because it's like, especially with how he just kept trying to figure out what is divine asking me? Is he asking me this? Let me give him this answer. And that's the sort of answer he's about to give him now. And I'm like, no, like what he's saying is break down something. Like if he would have went to what I went to about as far as about how to slaughter animal kosherly, right? In different elements and different things. If he'd have went into the hermeneutics, different aspects of different things, like those are different things that we see from the oral law, right? But he decided to say, oh, if you want to see something written, he ain't gonna see that. Let's move on. It's sort of like, all right, let's just move on. No, that's not what he's saying. Like what are you talking about? I just didn't like how it was kind of, let's just, you'll see, y'all will see.
Clearly, 100%, no doubt, right? I think you're going to be disappointed. And the reason you're going to be disappointed, sometimes we do that, right? Sometimes there's a verse that's very clear and easy. Sometimes it's not that easy. And the reason you're going to be disappointed in that is precisely because of what I said before. That's not how we deal with the text. You're asking me to provide you something that adheres to your rules of interpretation of the text. And I've already told you, I don't have the same rules.
No, but I'm not even talking about interpretation at this point. Which
see, that's what he said. I'm not even talking about interpretation. That's why I'm like, where's he going with this? Like, but again, this is what people do when you have conversation with people and they kind of try to cut you where you at. And he don't really know who Brother Divine Prospect is. He don't really understand the caliber of wisdom this brother has. He's just viewing him as some guy he's talking to on Clubhouse that seem to have some kind of knowledge, and he's just trying to just get to the chase. And this brother really trying to have a conversation. And he's telling him, that's not even what I'm talking about. Like, what are you talking about right now? Like, I didn't say that.
Still dealing with providence, and that is what I'm the authenticity of the
so
providence. Wait. Based on the
one thing at a time. Hold on, let him say this to you, Abba.
Based on the presuppositional claim that it goes back to Moshe, and then it was passed on. And Mordecai is there, right? Because he gave the hierarchy, right, of how that trickled down. And what I'm saying is, I find that problematic. And I'm going to tell you why. Intertextually, there are inconsistencies, and there's a formality of writing that we can see comes much later than that time period. And it comes, what we say, post-exile, right? So,
see, if the brother would have went from there and said, hey, this is the situation. Hey, this is the problem. If he'd have went from there and said that, that'd have been one thing. Right? If he'd have did like I did and said, okay, broke down this law, tried to go with the explanations, gave the different things that I gave, that has sufficed, right? But he started talking about interpretation, talking about looking this and other. So this is why Divine is going down this route that he's going down. But again, it's going to spin off and it's going to be a nice conversation.
What comes after the Babylonian exile during the Achaemenid period, right? And from there, trickling down all the way until we get to the Seleucids and we get to the Ptolemies, right? And then after the Romans come on the scene, again, we have this sect that develops during the Greco-Roman period, right? That created a system of formality in regards to teaching, a structure, and I'm going to show you this, right? That is, I would say, analogous with what was happening during that time period in history when the Greeks was on the scene, structuring, organizing things as well. We see a very similar style in the Mishnah, and I want to share that with you right now. You don't have to accept this, and this is just how I critically analyze. I do the same thing with the written Torah, right? So there's nothing off the table for me. But what I'm saying is, I have an issue because people need that first premise that you mentioned, that its providence comes from Moshe in order to accept everything else that trickles down from there. And I'm saying that that's
right.
problematic. You're right. And I'm saying that's
No,
problematic.
that's totally, it's totally fine if you find that problematic. But once you already accept that, then everything inside of it works. And you don't have to be compelled by the fact that the tradition just accepts that as a presupposition. Presuppositions are not demonstrated. In any logical system, right? In any system of learning, you don't justify the foundational things, the first principles. They are accepted or not accepted. That's it.
And that's problem.
Now, this is the day where he said that's a problem. I was like, I don't know. Because didn't the Torah itself do that? The Torah says, in the beginning, Elohim created. Right? Now, those of us who believe in Torah, that's it. We got nothing else to say. In the beginning, Elohim created. That's the end, right? But you have some people in the scientific world that say, wait a minute, we don't believe in that. We say it was a Big Bang. We're challenging your first premise. We're challenging this idea that Elohim created, because once you say he created and you break all that stuff down, now I'm supposed to understand why I'm supposed to keep Torah. I can understand it now, because the one who created everything told me to do it. But now, if I'm against that, I'm saying it came about some other way. I had some technical difficulty. How long is it? All right, so again, I'm probably gonna get ready to close out right about there, in light of the technical difficulties and all that stuff. But anyway, we see where he's going. We see the build up that's happening, and Yeah, so far is a good discussion. I think you guys are going to like it. It gets better and better and better. And you just go at it from there. So hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. Really, really good show. A lot of information. I'll try to dig more deeper into the different things and have more insights about stuff to expound on later. And I will talk to you all then. So appreciate all y'all who was on with me live, those who were on saying stuff and those who were silent. Just appreciate you all. Hope that you were edified by what you heard. If you got any questions about anything, we can have it in the comments. I'm actually going to do an editorial piece next week because I'm getting a lot of comments and I want to be able to expound and talk about those comments and go into them. But this week was, kind of hard for me to really get into the stuff like I wanted to. But this upcoming week, I'm actually going to dig more into it and we're going to go with it from there. Oh, thank you, Aki. Thank you. Glad you were still there. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I know sometimes with me, I get caught up with different stuff that I find deep and exciting. But to others, it'd be like, oh, this is boring. What is he talking about, right? So I'm glad you was able to enjoy it. That makes everything even better. And like I said, next week I'm gonna try to add some new things in at the editorial piece. So if you got things in the comments that you might say, or other people got stuff in the comments, I'm gonna point people out, thank people and stuff. I done been thanking them in the comments. And we just want to talk about that. So I thank all of y'all again. Thank you, Brother Tony, and all the others who was watching live. And to the people who watch it on a replay, I thank you as well. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please like, share, and subscribe. Again, my name is Rosh Ya'acob ben Abraham. Rabbi, Gethsemane Spiritual Temple Congregation, where we focus on Torah knowledge and understanding. And with that, I bid you all shalom.
Shema Yisrael Adonai.